Hello friends, today I am going to talk about the partial classes and partial method in C Sharp. First we'll learn about what partial classes and partial methods are, and then we discuss about what's need of them with the help of example. And finally we'll see their rules and restriction in C Sharp. So before we get started, just a quick reminder to subscribe my channel, hit the red button and don't forget to click on the little bell icon. That way you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, without any further delay, let's get started. What is partial class in C Sharp? Partial class is one of the unique features of C Sharp. It enables us to write functionalities of a single class into multiple files. Once the application gets compiled, that time all spread functionalities of a class get reassembled into a single class file and gets compiled. Okay, so how to make class a partial class? We make the class a partial class by adding the partial modifier to it. We can use partial keyword to methods, interfaces, and structs that enables us to split the functionalities into multiple files. Okay, let's try to understand with the help of examples shown over here. Let's suppose we have two class files, class1.cs and class2.cs. In first example, in class1.cs file, we have partial class named myClass. So for this, I have applied the partial modifier to it. Once we add partial modifier to a class, it becomes partial class. In this part of partial class, we have method 1. Similarly, in class2.cs file, I wrote partial class with same name myClass and it has method 2. During compilation of program, it collects all spread functionalities from different parts of partial classes and then reassembled into a single class file, then gets compiled. So it becomes just a normal class, and that's what you are able to see. It has two methods, method 1 and method 2. Method 1 is coming from the class1.cs file and method 2 is coming from this class2.cs file. Both are partial classes, but during compilation it becomes a single class that has these two methods, method 1 and method 2, right? Similarly, we have second and the third example. Second example is for the struct and the third example is for the interface. So if you see the second example, I have written public partial struct myStruct. So basically I have created a partial struct named myStruct. It has method 1, and second part of this myStruct we have written in class2.cs file where we have this method 2. And finally, while compilation, it just creates a single struct file. That's what public struct myStruct. It has both methods, method 1 and method 2 altogether. That's what I have written. This part plus this part equal to combination of these two parts. That is the single file that is having this struct. That is the normal struct. That's not a partial one, right? For the third example, we have written partial interface, and that's what I have written, public partial interface myInterface that has void method 1, that is the method 1 signature. Similarly, we have written partial interface myInterface in class2.cs file that has method 2, and when it gets compiled it will be creating one single file that has public interface myInterface and it has method 1 signature along with method 2 signature, right? Now we have understood what partial classes are in C Sharp and how we can write multiple partial classes, structs and interfaces. Why partial class? Here we learn why partial class is needed. There are multiple reasons behind it. Number 1, in a large project, a partial class enables multiple programmers to work on it simultaneously. Let's say we have a very huge project and there are multiple programmers are working on it. Some programmers are working on same class for different functionalities. So they could create multiple files and work on the same class by making it as a partial one. And it is possible only because of the partial class that allows us to create a multiple files and make it as a class as a partial one and put the functionalities over there. Number 2, it helps us not to create big files, but to split the functionalities into multiple small files that are easier to maintain and efficiently handle it. For example, let's say we could put all the properties in one file and all the methods in another file based on our organized approach. And it's possible in C Sharp with the help of partial classes. Number 3, with partial class, we can separate the code based on functionalities that provide more readability. For examples, in ASP.NET Web application, whenever we create any web page, say default.aspx in Visual Studio, so two files gets created with it. Number 1, default.aspx.cs file. Number two, default.aspx.designer.cs file. Both files contain same parcel classes, where default.aspx.cs file defines the business logic and default.aspx.designer.cs file contains all the definitions of the controls that are being used by the page. Number four, when working with an automatically generated source, code can be added to the class without having to recreate the source file. What does it mean is, with the help of parcel class, we can add new code to class without touching the auto-generated code. That's how parcel classes in C# help us. Rules and restriction for parcel classes. So here we'll see what rules and restriction are that we need to follow while writing parcel classes. Number one, parcel modifier needs to keep before the class keyword. Similarly for interface and struct. For example, public parcel class my class. Here if you see this parcel modifier, it is written before the class keyword, and that's what this first statement is talking about. Number two, all the parcel classes definitions must be in the same assembly and namespace. We need to make sure that we need to write all parts of parcel classes in same assembly and the same namespace. Number three, access modifier for all parcel classes parts must be the same, like public, internal, etc. For example, let's say if we define one part of parcel classes with public access modifier, then other parts of parcel classes must have public access modifiers only. Okay. Number four, if any of the parcel classes part is declared as sealed, abstract, or base type, then whole class is declared of the same type. Let's say we have three parts of parcel classes. In one part, we mark parcel classes sealed. Other parts of parcel classes are not marked sealed, even though class becomes as its sealed class. Number five, the parcel modifier is not available on delegate or enumeration declaration. Number six, nested types can be partial, even if the type they are nested within is not partial itself. Okay, let's try to understand with the help of examples shown over here. Here, there is a non-partial class named myOuterClass that has parcel class myNested class, right? So non-partial class can have partial class as a nested one, and that's what we are seeing over here, right? Number seven, if different attributes are applied at parcel class parts, then attributes of parcel type definitions are merged at compile time. Let's suppose we have one part of parcel class where we have applied serializable attribute, and other part of parcel class has obsolete attribute applied. So when it gets compiled, their definitions are merged. And that's why you are able to see over here, this my class is having both attributes applied, serializable and obsolete, right? Number eight, the following are merged from all the parcel type definitions. What are those? Interfaces, generic type parameter attributes, class attributes, members, XML comments. So all these are merged from all the parcel type definitions. Okay, now let's switch to the Visual Studio and see all these things in action. So here we are on Visual Studio. Here we are going to see the demo of the parcel class, its rules and restrictions. Okay, so first of all, we just look into that demo of the parcel. Okay, so for that, what I have done, I have created one console application, parcel class and parcel method demo. Here I have created three classes, class 1, class 2, and program.cs file. In class1.cs file, we have written this parcel class, because this my class is having this parcel keyword to it before that class keyword, right? So that's what this class is, nothing but a parcel class. It has one method, method 1, that return type is the void. So basically this method 1 is printing in this statement, printing from method 1. So that's all about this class1.cs file, right? And if you notice here, I have mentioned this namespace, parcel class and parcel method demo. So these namespace, inside that I have written this parcel class itself. Okay, now there is another class2.cs file. Here we have the same namespace. Inside that I have written the same parcel class named my class, right? And here we have method 2 that basically prints this printing from method 2 statement into console window. And return type is the void of it, right? So these two parcel classes is having, where we have the different method. Class 1 is having method 1, class 2 is having method 2. under this partial class named my class. Okay, now there is a program.cs file. Here what I have done, here I have written this class program under this namespace altogether. Okay, so there is a main method inside this program class, which is nothing but an entry point of this application. So here first I have just printed this statement demo of partial class, so that it will get printed into this console window, because I'm just giving the demo of the partial class. Now what I have done, I have created an instance of this my class, and that's what I have written: my class obj is equal to new my class. And if you see, I'm able to access method 1 and method 2 from this my class obj. And even though we have written in this separate file altogether, class 1 is having, in this partial class we are having this method 1, and this partial class is having method 2 under this class2.cs file. But when it gets compiled, we will be getting this, these two methods as a single file itself. So when we go and write the code, we think like, okay, this will be as a single class itself, and then in that fashion we need to write the code: obj.method1, obj.method2. And if you see here, let me put this dot again, so it may give me this method 1 and method 2 all together, right, under this object of this my class. So that's what we are able to successfully call this method 1 and method 2 all together, right? Okay, let me execute this and see the output. Okay, so output got appear into this console window, right? So if you see, demo of partial class got printed, and then printing from method 1 got printed, and printing from method 2 got printed, right? So printing from method 1 is coming from the method 1 class altogether, where we have written this console.writeLine statement, printing from method 1. So this method got invoked, and then it got printed into this console window. Similarly, class2.cs is having this partial class. Inside that we have this method 2 definition and implementation, right? So that's what this statement got printed when this method 2 got invoked, right? So that's what this statement got printed over here, printing from method 2, right? So that's the way the partial class behaves. So here we are going to see the demo of the rules and restriction for partial classes. Okay, so for that we have written this rules and restriction here to 1 to 8, right? So first, what was the rules? Partial modifier needs to keep before the class keyword. If you see here, I have written this partial keyword before this class keyword itself. Okay, so that's the way how we write it. Let's suppose if I just go and remove this and put it before this, internal keyword, so what will happen? It is giving me error. If you hover it, it is saying that the partial modifier can only appear immediately before class, record, struct, interface, or a method return type. Okay, but here I have not written immediately before this class. That's what it's complaining. So that is number one rule that we need to keep in mind whenever we are going to write any partial class. Okay, so let me revert that again. Okay, so that's the correct way how we need to write this partial class. Okay, that is the number one. Number two, all the partial class definition must be in the same assembly and namespace. If you see this class1.cs file where we have this namespace, partial class and partial method demo, inside that I have written this partial class, and this method is written under this partial class, right? And class 2 is having the same namespace, partial class, partial method demo, and I have this partial class named my class. Inside that I have written this method 2. But in class 3 I have written this my class partial class in namespace test demo, which is different what we have written here, right? Here partial class and partial method demo was the namespace name, and here also the same. But in class 3 we have written this test demo. Okay, so this partial class is there and method 3 is there. But if you go in program.cs file, and I have created an instance of this my class, right? And then I'm just going to write obj dot, I'm just going to write method 3. Okay, but if you see, there is no method 3 because this program class is also part of this namespace, partial class and partial method demo, right? So we are not able to get this method 3 altogether over here. So that's what this statement is saying. All the partial class definition must be in the same assembly and the namespace, because in class 3 we have different namespace, right? So that's what it is not visible over here. So that's what we cannot write like this. Third rule. What is the third rule? Access modifier for all partial classes parts must be the same like public or internal. If you see class 1.cs, we have this access modifier as internal in class 1.cs for this particular partial class, my class. Similarly, we have this internal as an access modifier for this partial class named my class under this namespace, right? So both are same. So we are able to compile it, right? And if you see here, if I go here and right click and then I just write build, so it will compile. There is no issue at all, right? Okay, if you see here, build one succeeded, right? There is no issue. But let's suppose if I go and change this class 2 as a public. Okay, if you see here, if I change this public, what will happen? Here I have written public, here I have written internal, right? So there is a conflict, right? If I hover on the my class, it is giving me error partial declaration of my class have conflicting accessibility modifiers. Why? Because here we have this accessibility modifier as a internal in class 1.cs, in class 2.cs we have as a public over here, right? So it is giving me conflicting error. We need to have this access modifier for all modifier class path must be the same, and that's what we need to just change it either public or internal. So let me change it as a internal over here. Okay, as soon as I changed this, this error went away. So there is no error because there is no conflict at all. So that's what this number 3 is saying. Accessible modifier for all partial classes parts must be the same like public and internal, etc. Okay, so here we are going to observe the rule number 4. Any of the partial classes part is having the sealed abstract base type modifier attached to it. So in that case, the whole class is going to use the same declared type. Okay, for example, if you see class 1.cs file where we have this partial class named my class, there is no sealed keyword, there is no abstract keyword, it has not implemented any base type, right? Here also the same thing, no sealed keyword, no abstract keyword, not implemented any base type, right? So in that case, if we have class 3.cs file where we are trying to inherit this my class, right, which is nothing but the partial class, we are able to do so. That's what there is no error, it is coming. Okay, if you go and compile this, there should not be any issue. Okay, so right click and then build it. Okay, if you see this build has started and build one succeeded, no failure, right? So we are able to derive this my class, right? So that's what we are able to write it. We are able to inherit this my class. But let's suppose if we are going to put one of the sealed keyword over here, right? One of the partial class is having marked as a sealed one. Okay, so this is the sealed partial class. Now if you see, I have marked this partial class as a sealed one. Okay, so overall this partial class is in class 2 also, that will be sealed only. If you try to inherit this my class in class my class 2, then if you see here that it is giving me error. What is the error? This my class 2 cannot derive from the sealed type my class. So my class altogether became as a sealed class, right? And that's what we are not able to derive it from the sealed type. Okay, so here we are going to see the rule number 5. The partial modifier is not available in delegate or enumeration declaration. Okay, let's see. I have defined this, my delegate, public delegate, void my delegate, and I have made it as a partial. But if you see this red line over here, it is simply saying that partial modifier can only appear immediately before class, record, struct, interface, or method return type, not for the delegate, right? So that's what, it's not valid to write like this. So we need to remove it. That's what this fifth statement is saying. The partial modifier is not available on delegate or enumeration declaration. So here we are going to see the rule number 6. Nested types can be partial, even if the type that are nested within is not partial itself. So for that purpose, I have written this program. There is a class named my outer class. This is not a partial class, but it has nested partial class named my nested class, right? Here in method 1, I'm just writing printing from my nested class dot method 1. Similarly, we have partial class my nested class. Here we have the method 2 where I'm writing console.writeLine printing from my nested class dot method 2. So when these two methods gets invoked, it is just going to print this statement into console window. Now there is a class named program. Inside that we have main method, which is an entry point of this application. Here I have just written this statement, rules and restriction demo partial class. Okay. So here I am just going to create an instance of this my nested class. So how we can create it? Because this my nested class is the inner class inside this outer class, my outer class, right? So we need to write something like this: my outer class dot my nested class obj is equal to new my outer class dot my nested class. So basically I am creating an instance of this my nested class and storing into this variable as an object, and with the help of object I'm just calling this method 1 and method 2. So method 1 is basically coming from this partial class, and method 2 it is coming from this partial class, right? And that's what I'm just calling, so that this statement should get printed into this console window, right? Let me execute this program and see the output. Okay, so output got appear into this console window. Printing from my nested class dot method 1 got printed, printing from my nested class dot method 2 got printed, right? So nested types can be partial even if the type they are nested within is not partial itself, and that's what we have seen. This is not a partial class, but it has partial class within, right? That is the number 6 of this rules of restriction for the partial classes. So here we are going to see the rule number 7. If different attributes are applied at partial class parts, then attribute or partial type definitions are merged at compile time. Okay, let's see the examples to understand it better. Okay, in class 1.cs we have this partial class named my class. So here I have applied this attribute as a serializable attribute. Okay, and in class 2 again we have this partial class my class, and here I have applied obsolete attribute over here. So basically when this my class is just going to get compiled, that time these two attributes is just going to get merged. And if you see here in program.cs file, what I am doing, I am just writing this my class obj is equal to new my class. So basically I am creating an instance of this my class. And if you see here, this green underline, what it says my class is obsolete, right? So it is coming. And if you go and compile this, okay, so let me go to the solution explorer, and if I go and right click and build it, okay, so this build started and build got successfully. So we can write this, attribute, different attribute at the same partial class in the two different files altogether. At the time of compilation, it is just going to get merged. It will work as a complete class where we have these two attributes applied at it. Okay, so here we are going to see the rule number 8. The following are merged from all the partial type definitions: interfaces, generic type parameter attributes, class attributes, members, XML comments. Okay, so just I take one of the example interfaces over here. Okay, so for that what I have done, I have created 3 interfaces over here: I my interface 1, I my interface 2, and I my interface 3. I my interface is having this signature of this hi method, void hi. Similarly, I my interface 2 is having this void hello. I my interface 3 is having goodbye. Okay, and in class 1.cs where we have this partial class, here I have implemented these two interfaces, my interface 1 and my interface 2. Because we have implemented these two interfaces over here, so we have given the definition also here. So public void hi, here just printing hi into this console window. Similarly, hello, it is just printing hello into this console window. Let me change the hello. Okay, so it is just going to print into hello into this console window. Okay, now if you see here in class 2.cs, we have implemented this I my interface 3 in this partial class my class, and that's what I have given this goodbye method implementation over here, and it is just printing this goodbye into this console window itself. Okay, now come to the program.cs file. So here what I have done, in this class named program where we have this main method which is entry point of this application, I have just printed this statement, rules and restriction demo of the partial class. Here I have created an instance of this my class, and that's what I have written, my class obj is equal to new my class. obj.method1 obj.method2, because I just want to call this method 1 that is going to print into this console window printing from method 1. Similarly, we have method 2 here is just going to print method 2 into this console window, right? And then I have called this obj.hi, obj.hello, obj.goodbye. And if you just put dot over here, so IntelliSense gave me all these three methods. See if you hear goodbye, hello, hi, method 1 and method 2, right? Everything is there under this particular my class, right? So that's what this statement is valid. The following are merged from all the partial type definition. It got merged, and that's what we are able to call this three methods altogether. Here I have just considered this interface over here, but yeah, we can consider other things also, like generic type parameter attributes, class attributes, member attributes, XML comments, like this. Okay, so now let me execute this and see the output. Okay, so if you see here, output got appear into this console window. This rules and restriction demo partial class got printed because I have written this console.writeLine statement, right? And then I have called this method 1. So this statement got printed from method 1. Then I called method 2. Then this statement got printing from method 2. I have called this hi method where we are just printing this hi. So hi got printed. Similarly, I called hello method. So hello got printed, and goodbye method, then goodbye got printed. So basically, all these things, interfaces, generic type, parameter attributes, class attributes, member attributes, and XML comments are going to get merged from all the partial type definition. And here we have seen these interface related things, right? So it got combined and got printed. Similarly, we have this, method also got printed, because method 1 was defined in the class1.cs file, method 2 defined one is the class2.cs file, right? But it is having in the same partial class altogether, right? That's what it got printed into this console window that we are seeing over here. Partial methods in C#. What is partial methods? A partial class or struct may contain partial methods. One part of the partial class contains the signature of the method. An implementation can be defined in the same part or another part. Note, if the implementation is not supplied, then the method and all the calls to the methods are removed at the compile time. That's very, very important. The implementation may be required depending on the method signature. However, a partial method is not required to have an implementation in the following cases. What are those cases? It does not have any accessibility modifiers, including the default private. Number 2, it returns void. Number 3, it does not have any out parameters. Number 4, it does not have any of these modifiers. Which one? Virtual, override, sealed, new, or external. So any method that does not conform to all the above mentioned restriction must provide an implementation, and that implementation may be supplied by a source generator. How we can make a method a partial method? We make the method a partial method by writing the partial modifier before the return time of a method declaration. That's what you are able to see over here. I have written this class, right? Partial class. Inside that we have this method, and this method is nothing but the partial method, because I have used this partial modifier before the return type of this method. That's what this method became as a partial method, right? So in class1.cs file, I have this partial class named my class that has partial method, right? In class 2, we have same partial class, my class, and here we have given the signature and the method body of that particular method itself. So basically, I have provided the implementation of this method. In class1.cs file, I have given this method signature, and in class2.cs file, I have given this implementation of that particular method, right? And during compilation, we are having these two combination in a combined one. And that's what, if you see this method, it has the method signature and also the method body. This class is not a partial class, but a normal class. And this method is not a partial method. It's a normal method that has method signature and the method body altogether, right? So that's how partial methods are declared and implemented in C#. So here we are going to see the demo of the partial method. So for that, what I have done, I have created two class files. Class1.cs file, here namespace is partial class and partial method demo. Inside that we have one partial class named my class. So here I have given this partial method. So this method is nothing but a method signature over here, but this is the partial method signature. Why? Because we have marked partial keyword before this data type, which is of the return data type, right? In class2.cs file, again there is a namespace, same partial class named my class. Inside that, I have given this implementation of this particular method. So basically, in one place, I have defined only the signature of the method with the partial keyword. Here we are having the same method signature, same partial method signature along with this implementation, right? So basically, once it gets compiled, so that time one class will get created. Inside that, signature and method would be combined and it will be having a single method itself. Okay, now there is a program.cs file. Inside that, there is a program class. Inside that, we have one main method, which is an entry point of this application. And here I have just written this statement demo of partial method, because I'm just giving the demo of the partial method. Here what I have done, I have created an object of this my class, and that's what I have written. My class obj is equal to new my class, and then I'm just calling this get square method with the help of object, right? And then passing 5 as an input parameter to this method. So whatever the output is just going to get returned from this method, we are just going to print into this console window the square of 5. So 5, this method will return as if 25. The square of 5 colon 25 should get printed. Okay, let me execute this and see the output. Okay, so output got appear into this console window. If you see the output, demo of partial method got printed, and then square of 5 colon 25 got printed, because we have written this console.writeLine statement, and that's what this statement got printed. Rules and restriction for partial methods. So here we'll see what rules and restriction are that we need to follow while writing the partial methods. So number 1, a partial class or a struct may contain partial method. So this partial method can be written either in partial class or a struct. That's what this first statement is talking about. Number 2, partial method signature in both parts of the partial type must match. So that we have already identified, like whenever we are going to write any partial method, the signature, right, it should be same. Number 3, we can make a delegate to a partial method that has been defined and implemented, but not to a partial method that has only been defined. Okay, let's try to understand with the help of examples shown over here. So here there is a namespace test demo. It has delegate, my delegate. So basically I have defined the delegate signature over here. So that's what I have written, public delegate int my delegate int a. And we have partial class named my class that has partial method in it. And that method is public partial int get square index. And here if you see, I have written another partial class named my class. It has this partial method, but it has the implementation also. So that's what, once it gets compiled, it will be creating a normal class with this signature along with this implementation altogether, right? And we can apply, we can call this method with the help of delegate. And that's what we are saying, this we can make a delegate to a partial method that has been defined and implemented, because we have defined here, or also we have implemented that, right? So delegate can be applied over there. Now there is a class named program that has main method, which is an entry point of this application. In this method, what I am doing, I am just creating an instance of this my class, and that's what I have written, my class obj my class is equal to new my class. So basically what I am doing here in the second statement, I am just assigning the method of this object my class dot get square. So basically get square is defined into this class my class, and we are just giving this get square name with the help of object name, right? That's what I have written, obj my class dot get square. So basically this method I am assigning to this my delegate, and then finally we are just invoking directly, and that's what I have written, obj my delegate 5. So here in console.writeLine statement, I am just calling this delegate, that basically internally going to call this particular method altogether, get square. And here I am passing the 5 as an input parameter. So 5 into 5 is equal to 25. So 25 is just going to get returned from this partial method. And then we are going to get it over here, and then we are printing into this console.writeLine statement with the help of then we are printing into the console window with the help of this console.writeLine statement. If you see the output, a square of 5 is equal to 25. It got printed, right? So we can make a delegate to a parcel method that has been defined and implemented, and that's what we are able to call this method with the help of delegate, and we are going to get this output also, right? So here we are on Visual Studio. Here we are going to understand the important points and rules and regulation of parcel method in C#. So number 1 point, a parcel class or struct may contain parcel methods. One part of the parcel class contains the signature of the method. An implementation can be defined in the same part or another part. Okay, if you see class1.cs file, it is having this namespace parcel class and parcel method demo. It has parcel class. Inside that, we are having this partial method, right? And if you notice, I have just given this signature of this method over here, right? And this method is the parcel method. We have applied this parcel modifier to it. So that's what this method is, nothing but the parcel method where we have defined the signature only. In class2.cs file, the another part of this parcel class where we are having this implementation, where we are just printing this console.writeLine, where we are just printing the I value into this console window. So this is having the same signature, and also the implementation is there, and it is written in the class2.cs file. That is the different part of this parcel class, right? One part is in class1.cs file and another part is in class2.cs file, right? So that's what this first statement is talking about. Now, note is there, if implementation is not supplied, then the method and all calls to the methods are removed at the compile time. That's very, very important points. You need to remember this. Okay. Number 2, the implementation may be required depending on the method signature. However, a parcel method is not required to have an implementation in the following cases. So these are the 4 cases. If it gets satisfied, then we don't need to provide implementation. It's not required. It's not mandatory at all. So what are those cases? Number 1, it does not have any accessibility modifiers, including the default private. Okay, so let me see that. Here if you see, there is an internal access modifier. Let me remove this. Okay, so there is no, and from class 2 also I'm just going to remove this internal accessibility modifier. Okay, so now if you see, the first statement got satisfied, right? Now it returns should be void. If you see here, it is already having the void return type. Class2.cs method signature is also is having this void keyword. So number 2 statement is also valid now. It does not have any output parameters, right? Out parameters. So here we don't have any out parameters, right? Implementation also does not have any out parameters. So number 3 case is also satisfied. It does not have any of these modifiers: virtual override, sealed, new, or external, right? So the fourth statement is also satisfied. So in that case, if you don't want to provide this, implementation altogether, we can comment it. Okay, so that there is no implementation for this particular methods that I have given implementation, right? Even though if we compile this program, it should work. Okay, so what we need to do, let me comment this part, because I'm not calling this because we don't have this method, right? We are not passing those things. So in that case, what will be happening? Let me compile this, right click, and then I'm just going to click build over here. So build started. Okay, if you see, the build succeeded, right? So if you see, this build succeeded got message, even though we have not provided this implementation altogether. So that's what this second point is saying, right? We have seen it does not have any accessibility modifiers, it returns voids, it does not have any out parameters, it does not have any of these modifiers: virtual, override, sealed, new, or external. Okay, let me see if we provide, if we fail, let's say I'm just putting that out parameters, whether it is allowing me to do so. Let me do that. So instead of int I, I'm just writing out. Okay, and if I putting the out, see method 1, under that there is one red line came. What is saying? that parcel method my class dot method one, partial method my class method one must have accessibility modifier because it has out parameters. When we provided this out, it is asking me we need to provide this accessibility modifier. So let me put this accessibility modifier. Let me put internal accessibility modifier. Okay, so now still this red. Okay, now again the red color is there. It is saying that partial method must have an implementation part because it has accessibility modifiers, right? Right, if you see, when I put this out, it was asking me to put the accessibility modifiers. Now when we put the accessibility modifiers internal over here, it is asking me to put the implementation for this. So if you go and compile, it will give the error because here only that error is coming, right? So we need to give the implementation of this. So let me do that. Let me go and put the implementation for here. So let me put uncomment this. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to put this internal keyword over here, right? Internal keyword, and then I need to provide out keyword over here, right? So that this method signature would remain same in both the class file. Here method one partial void out int I, right? Similarly, we have internal partial void method one out int I. Now I need to return as an input parameter, right? So what I need to do, I'm just going to assign I is equal to 5. Okay, so now I have given this int I is equal to 5 I have given. So see, this red color went away. So that is the valid. And if I go and compile this, it should get compiled successfully. Let me compile this. Okay, if you see, this build succeeded. So whenever we are going to put out, so we need to have this implementation. So out parameter will be asking put the accessibility modifier. If accessibility modifier is there, then we need to put this implementation for that, for this method, right? So that's what, when we provided this, we are able to compile successfully, so there is no error at all, right? And if we want to use this one, we can do so. For example, let me see, in program.cs file, if I just go and write in I, okay, and here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write, now we have this my class where we have this, method signature partial void method one out int I, and here in class 2.cs file I have given this implementation of this, okay, with the out parameter. In program.cs file, what I have done, I have written this int I obj method one out I, and whatever the out value is coming for this I variable, I'm just printing into this console.writeLine statement. Okay, so let me execute this and see the output. Okay, so output got up here into this console window. If you see, important points and rules and restriction of partial method in C# got printed, and the 5 it got printed, right? And 5 where it is coming from? It is coming from here, this implementation I is equal to 5, it is coming as a out, and this out int I we are capturing into this I variable over here, and then I'm just printing this I variable value into this console.writeLine statement, and that's what it got printed here as a 5, right? So so that's what, this number 2 implementation may be required depending on the method signature, right? So this one, if it is not satisfied, we need to give this implementation, and that's what the third statement is saying. Any method that does not conform to all the above mentioned restriction must provide an implementation. That implementation may be supplied by the source generator. So we have given this implementation and we are able to execute this program successfully, right? So that is the number 3. Number 4, partial method signature in both parts of the partial type must match. If you see here in class 1.cs, we have the signature internal partial void method 1 out int I, right? This is the same signature we are having in the class 2.cs file, and that's what, there is no error at all. Let's suppose if I'm changing this void and I'm just writing something, let's say instead of internal, I'm just going to write public. Okay, if I'm just going to write public, what will happen? Let me execute this and see the output. Okay, so it is giving me error, right? And what is the error? Both partial method declaration must have identically accessibility modifiers. So here it was internal. In class 2 we are having as a public. So that's what, there is a mismatch, right? So method signature should be having the same, otherwise it will be having issue. Let's suppose instead of out int I, I'm just writing let's say I'm just writing int b. Okay, so here there is a change into this request input parameter, right? In request parameter. So now when I wrote it, partial method must have implementation part because it has accessibility modifiers. Number one. The second one is the no defining declaration found for implementing declaration of the partial method out int use of unassigned local variable I, right? So here this method signature is not same, right? That's what it's complaining. Let me remove this. Once I remove that, okay, now error went away. So that's what this statement is. Partial method signature in both parts of the partial type must match. Okay. Okay, now number 5, we can make a delegate to a partial method that has been defined and implemented, but not to a partial method that has only been defined. Okay, let's see what does it mean. Okay. Okay, so if you see here, I have written this partial class, my class new. Here I have given this method signature, right? And here in the another part of this partial class, I have written this same method signature with implementation. Okay, and then I have defined this delegate over here, public delegate int my delegate int a. So this will point to this particular method because this method signature is matching with this delegate signature, right? Now there is a class named program. Inside that we have main method, which is an entry point of this application. Here what I'm doing, I'm creating an instance of this my class new. That's what I have written, my class new obj my class new is equal to new my class new. And here I have defined this delegate, my delegate obj my delegate, and here I'm assigning this method name of this my class new. That's what I have written, obj my class new dot get square. So basically I'm assigning this method to this delegate. And finally, I'm just invoking this delegate. So ideally it should get called this method, right? Get square int x, and then it will just multiply with the number that we are passing as an input parameter to this method, and it will return as an int data type, and whatever the input that we are receiving in this calling part, it will be capturing those information and printing into this console window. That's what this statement is talking about. We can make a delegate to a partial method that has been defined and implemented. We have defined here and we have implemented here, and that's what we are able to use the delegate over here. Let me execute this and see the output. Okay, if you see, this output got appear into this console window. A squad of 5 is equal to 25, right? Because we are able to successfully call this get square method with the help of delegate, right? We are Now that brings me to end of my session. To sum up, in this video, we first understood what partial class in C# is and why it is needed. Then we learned about its rules and restriction. Later, we discussed what partial methods are and its associated rules and restriction. So now you are equipped with partial classes and partial method concept and must be able to use them comfortably in your project with confidence. That's all for this video, guys. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends and colleagues, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. Thanks for watching. See you next video.